Welcome to this very special winter solstice reading and new moon in Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back. My name is Charlotte Alea, and I am a priestess and intuitive guide. And in these readings, I am calling forth a message regarding our collective destiny and the healing of our fate and karma for all those who are listening and watching. And this is a message that I intend and ask for from Mother Earth herself for all of us to guide us in our evolution in harmony with her. So thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to begin this reading by talking a little bit about this time of year, which our ancient ancestors like to call the darkest of dark, the darkest of dark. And as you are watching this movie, we're right on the threshold of the darkest of dark and and that energy is shifting. But December, the whole month of December is called the darkest of dark. And so I wanted to bring this up because that word darkness for so many of us, most of us, still provokes a lot, a lot of feelings, a lot of beliefs, a lot of assumptions. And so to be with that word right now, I think is really crucial as we are experiencing the darkness outside of our doors, beyond the artificial lights. What does the darkness bring up for you? What does the darkness bring up for you? And just to simply be with that and create space for that. Those of you and those of us watching this video, we are shifting the paradigm of what darkness means, right? No longer we're retraining ourselves not to be so afraid of it. And we are acknowledging that perhaps it is important to carve out time during this season to honor the darkness, to honor our inner stillness by stepping outside the chaotic shopping malls and all the holiday hoopla and just all this kind of focus on incredible joy and cheer and festivities that the culture artificially creates for us. So we're learning how to step out of that. And as we step out of that, the feelings, the sort of darker emotions that we have been keeping at bay and hiding and pushing away, maybe for many years, that this time of year sparks within us and brings up again, those emotions come back up. And so we need to hold space for that for ourselves. So I wanted to acknowledge that, to create some space for yourself. And whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling scared, if you're feeling disappointed, if you're feeling a lot of grief and sadness, if you're feeling loneliness, just make space for it. And that's really going to be key for us as we move through this portal, is to find a place where we transform all that we are feeling within us into a place of self-love that does fill us, that is self-nurturing. And we're going to get into that a lot more later. So return of the light. So that is kind of the theme, right? A universal sort of theme of this time of year for us in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm specifically talking about return of the light. And I've been reading this book by Sarah Bertrand called Spirit Weaver. And she has this whole section in the book where she really reframes this time of year, this season, from really, it's kind of from the solstice all the way through, I think it's like January 6th or 7th, and it's called, what is it called? Oh, it's called Epiphany. So we have this whole sort of period of time where the light is returning and we're celebrating the return of the light. But what if, and this is her reframe, she reframes this whole season as what if we are rebirthing the light and really rebirthing the light within us? And thinking about how, especially in Christian culture, there is this focus on the light rather than the birther of that light. So she brings this up and reframes it through this divine feminine lens, where what if we focus instead more on the birther and us each individually, male or female or transgender or non-binary, as the birther of the light. And I love it. She also talks about how the solstice is when we crown, is when we crown. And when she said that, I thought about these monolithic sites in the British Isles, in Ireland. So like Newgrange in Ireland, which I had the pleasure of going to a few years ago, and Stonehenge, which are aligned with the winter solstice, so that right as the sun rises on the winter solstice, the light pours through a portal and fills the cavity, right? And so it's literally like the stones are the woman's legs and the light is beginning to pour through. So I love that metaphor for ourselves of thinking about today as the solstice, moving into the new moon in 2 days, as we're really crowning, the light is beginning to come through us and shine out of us. And then come around the 25th, 26th, 27th, that's when the light is coming through us. And we're really giving birth to something new within ourselves. But we are giving birth to something that can't yet talk, can't yet speak, doesn't even have a personality yet, doesn't know who they are, right? And so we are still sitting in this mystery of new life, new light moving through us, and yet we have to give it time. We have to give it time with love and nurturing. So this time of year, if we can refocus it on just deep self-nurturing. And if we can think about the return of the light as actually a light that we are birthing from within us through that self-nurturing. And I was also thinking about how we think about the light returning. That's sort of the sentence we use. And we think about from this earthly perspective, like the stars are moving, right? The sun and the moon are moving. But actually, we're the ones that are moving. Earth is tilting on its axis and rotating so that it is now receiving more light. So it's actually the movement of us that is bringing forth more light. And so if we allow that light to rise us through being in that sense of stillness, and then meeting with the light that is returning from above through the sun and connecting the two, right? What a beautiful, beautiful metaphor for us, just to hold that picture. Okay, so let's now get into the cards. So this is the tarot deck I use in these readings, Tarot of the Spirit by Pamela and Joyce Eakins. And I'm going to show 3 of the cards up front, and then I'm going to save, that's the word I'm looking for, the last card for the end. So we have 9 of Earth as our lesson. We have 6 of Fire as our shadow. We have Brother Water as our gift. Okay, so I'm going to go into all of these. And let's begin with our lesson. So, 9 of Earth, this is 9 of Pentacles in a traditional tarot deck. And isn't it interesting that this card is called the Zenith? Because if you're watching last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, you know that one of our main themes was the nadir, which was the low point, and this is the zenith, the high point. I just love how the cards have a sense of humor almost. So the theme of the mountain continues. And the first message that this energy presented to me was, it was a question, and it's asked, what does it mean to have it all? I have it all. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? And the next question that this energy asked me was, what if you already have it all? What if you already have everything you need in this present moment? So I'm getting a big message that we're being called right now to come even more fully into the present moment of our lives, even more fully into now, not jumping ahead into 2023, staying here on December, what is the date today? 21st or December 22nd or 23rd or 24th, 25th, whenever you're watching this video, staying present right here, right now. What are you experiencing within yourself, and what is transpiring in your immediate environment? I'm hearing that there is a fullness. There is a fullness for us to experience regarding the last 12 months. Thinking about how everything that has transpired for you this year has brought you something. Even if it is a load of shit, even if it's something you did not want, there is still a fullness of experience. There is still something for you to receive and learn from that really wants your attention before we cross that threshold into 2023 and we start making all the plans and everything for the coming year. We are modeled in this culture, this focus on what's next, what's coming next. Okay, well, this year was a wash. I didn't really do, the plans that I made didn't come through. And so maybe they can come through next year. I can just move it ahead to next year. And the problem with that is that hidden within that narrative that we have, that we tell ourselves of sort of moving things ahead, is a little bit of an inkling that in some way you have failed, that things didn't go right this year. And therefore we move into the next year from a place of lack and emptiness versus a place of fullness. So the Zenith, it's an interesting name for this card, because what I'm really feeling is that we are being asked to take in the entire mountain of ourselves and our lives. The entire mountain, not just the top. Mountains are these incredible, incredible beings, right? And so to think of your year as a mountain, yourself as a mountain. And as we talked about last week, the greatest riches and treasures are buried deep within the center of that mountain. And so to contemplate this mountain of your year and of you, and you're pregnant, you're full, and that baby that you are gestating is being fed off of everything that you have experienced this year. Everything counts, no matter what your own personal, emotional, and egoic kind of evaluation of it is. It's still feeding your becoming. And so how can you allow yourself to be fed much more from the life that you have cultivated for yourself? There are some wins and there's some losses. So to really honor the wins, have gratitude for the richness that you do get to experience every day, whether that is things that you have cultivated within yourself or pieces of your life that you have cultivated outside of yourself? How can you allow yourself to receive even more from that life that you have cultivated all year? There's some riches there. There is, even if you feel in this moment that you're pretty damn well in the present moment, you're not yet focused on next year, there's still another layer. That's what I am being told. And there's a voice in me saying, even if you think that you are already fully in the present moment, there's another layer. There's another layer coming more fully into the present moment for all of us. Okay, so let's move on to our shadow. And this card, so we have 6 of fire, which is 6 of wands, and it actually came reversed. Many times our shadow cards will reveal themselves reversed because they are showing us that this energy needs to be reevaluated a bit. So what this card is revealing is that we need to take a moment, take a pause, and redefine success a bit. What does success mean to you now? What has it meant to you in the past? Because there are some desires that are no longer relevant to you, that used to be pretty damn important to you, that moving through this period of darkness and rebirth, we are each changing and transforming. And our minds take a while to catch up with that process. And so there's some scripts and stories that are coming through that are laying a foundation and framework for next year that actually aren't important anymore, aren't relevant, aren't you anymore. And sometimes we just take these long-held dreams and desires and ambitions and goals. That's really what I'm feeling, ambitions and goals. We take them for granted. They've been with us for so long that we forget to ask ourselves, is this even important anymore? So guess what? There are big goals and dreams that aren't that important anymore. Your priorities are shifting, which is a wonderful thing. And so we need to give ourselves a pause to shift those priorities, to check in. What stories am I telling myself that, not stories, what, like I said, what goals and ambitions am I continuing to set for myself that aren't going to be important in 2023? And it might be difficult at this moment to really know what's important. Because as I said before, this baby that is beginning to, this baby of light that we are beginning to give birth to right now, doesn't have a name, doesn't have a personality, can't talk. And so we need to give ourselves time to be with the newborn of ourselves, to allow that to unfold organically. So for most of us, as we walk through the portal into 2023, we're not going to know things right away. We still need several weeks to be holding these new energies that are beginning to express themselves through us, through emotion and other things that aren't in our mind. So let these energies continue to percolate, in that nadir space, in that great cauldron within you. There is a story that was coming through as I was sitting with the energy of this card that I just heard the other day from Dea Isadora Robertson. She's a folklorist and priestess of the Welsh tradition. And she tells of this story, this sort of a creation story of the fairy people, the fairy folk, about the earth light that is at the very, very core of our planet, that is inside the iron magna core that the sort of scientists revealed to us. That there is a star, basically. Planet Earth has a star. And so this earth light, for the fairy folk, they make pilgrimages down into the center to receive and refuel themselves with this earth light. So it's similar to us making pilgrimages up to the zenith of mountains. They go down, we go up. And thinking about this, I thought this was just such a beautiful vision for us to hold during this time, that what we are, birthing deep within us is being fed by this inner earth light, and that it is seeping out through the cracks. And just as I said in the beginning, how we can imagine this light coming through us as we connect to our nadir, and our nadir being, right, the nadir of the planet, being that earth light. And so what this new life we are creating is being fed through that earth light. And then as we give birth to it, being met by the sunlight. This is the light that we are fed with on the surface. So we are in another moment where, in order to go deep within, unlike the fairy who make the pilgrimage, we simply drop our consciousness. We simply drop our consciousness deeper and deeper into stillness. And I know that is an incredible challenge for so many of us this time of year, because there is so much happening around us that is telling us not to be still. So this really is a radical act. We need to acknowledge that taking the time to be still and checking out and going within and being with only the people that you really care about, that's a radical act. Being with those people that will honor your stillness. I don't think that our culture wants us to do that. Our culture wants us to be in that state of constant ambition and wanting more and more and more of what doesn't live within us, so that we have to continue to feed ourselves artificially. And we are shifting into a new way of being where we are feeding ourselves from within. So let's move more into that right now with Brother Water. Brother Water. So this is Knight of Cups in the traditional tarot deck. Brother Water is the lover of the tarot deck. He's the lover archetype. He is a romantic, and what he does is he takes the emotional feelings, not the emotions, the feelings, everything, all that energy that's sort of stirring within us, and creates it into a self-expression that is a self-loving and self-nourishing act. So not only is Brother Water the lover, he's also the artist and the poet. And he's asking us to cultivate meaningful expressions of the love that is within us and the emotions and feelings that are within us during this time. So that means learning to honor your inner voice through poetry, through writing, through artwork, but also through dance, through singing. And it doesn't even have to be what we would consider like artistic, right? It could be that you pour all your love and all this sense of wanting to feed and nurture yourself into creating the most beautiful, delicious, nourishing pot of soup that you have made all year. and you feed yourself with that soup, or maybe it's like a loaf of bread, and then you can feed your family with it, your friends. You feed it back to the earth. You make an offering of it back to the earth. So that self-love and self-nurturing through these creative expressions, these creative acts, they are self-loving and self-nurturing first, but then it overflows. And then it is self-loving and self-nurturing to all those that you care about that are around you this season. So in that way, you feel yourself. You feel yourself and all that you transform. Even because what I was really hearing is this does not have to be expressions of just joy and gratitude and happiness, right? And cheer and all of this sort of external face that we're shown for this holiday season. This could be expressions of your grief and sadness. It could be expressions of frustration and disappointment. It could be expressions of all different feelings. What we talked about at the very beginning of this video, like when we tune into that. And so what I'm also hearing is that it's really important for us during this portal to check in with ourselves regularly. Check in with yourself every morning. I have a practice where I will literally come into my heart after I call in the directions and connect myself above and below, and I'll come into my heart and I will allow my heart to express to me what it's feeling, what it wants and needs, and in order to set an intention for the day. So to check in with yourself in the morning, but not only that, check in briefly throughout the day. Is this thing I'm going to really feeling in alignment with what's moving within me right now? Or is it going to be a super big strain? What is going to be a self-nurturing action or thing that I can practice today? Even if that's laying in bed and sleeping all day, for those of us who are really tired, this expression might simply be sleep and allowing your body to regenerate itself in sleep. He teaches us to come into this sense of fullness within ourselves, no matter what we are feeling, because we're taking those emotions, even if they are negative or heavy, and we are transforming them into acts of self-love and self-nurturing, which fills us. And so this is really how we put the message of this, into practice right now. And we begin to create a space for ourselves where the feelings that we've kind of hidden away about this last year can come out of hiding and have a place and be transformed into self-love and self-nurturing, and thus be part of the fullness that we feel. So even if we're feeling grief, it becomes a state of love. Yeah. These acts of self-love that we are creating for ourselves is the birth of our light. That is the birth of our light. It's not a grand thing, so allow these simple acts and expressions of self-love and creative expression be simple, and allow that to be, and acknowledge that that is your light. And this is where we begin. We always begin in the body and the emotions. And then over time, it makes its way up here. And we will know. Our egos and our cognitive minds will be more satisfied by what is happening. And so the way, again, for us to let go of what is happening. I know I am being creative and having fun even, and experiencing little acts of joy and self-love. But what does it all mean? Where is this really leading me? It's leading you more fully into the present moment of your life. That's where it's leading you right now. And that's all that's important. So allow that to be enough. Allow that to be enough. Okay, let's finish this forecast with the last card, which I haven't shown you yet. I'm going to show it to you now. There is no name, no number, nothing on this card. So it's called the mystery card. Well, that's what I call it within this deck. It's not a traditional tarot card. It's the deck author's, additional card that they added. And whenever this card comes up, I'm like, oh no. Like, how do I even read this? So I had that reaction when this card came through, and there was a part of me that wanted to draw another card, but I sat with it. Like last time, I drew this card yesterday, and this card definitely has a message. So the mystery, and just so much of the card's message, I feel like, is in just that word mystery. Holding a chunk of energy and space for the mystery, which is what we were just talking about. This card also, I believe, speaks to the greater laws of the universe and the paradox of human existence, which is encapsulated in the two words, I am. So in I, we acknowledge that we are individual beings with individual free wills, right? We get to construct our lives and our realities as we will it through our words and actions and thoughts. But also, we are am. So the second part of that am really speaks to how our individuality is in some ways an illusion, and we are fractals of a great, great, great whole of the universe, of the whole of energy expressing itself in the universe. So when I was sitting with this card, it posed a couple questions for us just to sit with during these next couple weeks, which will allow us to almost like expand into the vastness of this universe and bring perhaps a different perspective on our individual lives. So the first question is, what if there is a greater plan, a great plan happening within this incredible vast universe that is far beyond our human comprehension, far beyond it? What if you are unwittingly part of this plan? Your life, what if the life that you are living is part of that plan? This is not questions that our minds can answer. They're meant to bring us into that state of mystery, that sense and feeling of ourselves within this vastness, within even contemplating that there is an intelligence that is far beyond the workings of our minds. And so it allows us to surrender a bit, surrender the smallness. So I'm just going to leave us with those two questions as I complete this reading. What if there is a greater plan at work, being led by a greater intelligence in this vast universe? And what if you are a part of that plan? Thank you so much for reading. So I will be, did I say reading? Thank you so much for watching. I meant and tuning in. So I'm going to be back around, I think, December 6th for our next reading in the new year. And I will also at that time do a mini reading for 2023. So that'll be another special reading. So please tune in then. Please press subscribe and maybe the bell icon or something, and press like if you enjoyed this video. And the other little piece of news and announcements I wanted to share is that I am doing a few 2023 year ahead readings for clients. This is different from my other readings because this is a PDF written reading that you get that is your spiritual companion for the whole year. This is not a reading that one is supposed to take in completely right when you get it, sometime in January. It contains 4 cards which walk you through the spiritual lessons from a karma destiny perspective that your soul is guiding you through this year. And then it's going to have 1 card for each month of the year around how the energy is shifting for you personally through the wheel of the year, which also really helps with planning. If you have a project that you're going to be working on and launching, if you have a trip that you're going to take, this is a great resource for that as well. So I have just a couple left actually. And so if you are interested in that, just click on over to the link below to my website and check it out, learn more. All right. Happy solstice, many blessings to you and your families, and such a happy new year. And I will see you in 2023.